Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jordan Peele. I'm the writer-director of Get Out, and this is a surreal honor to be doing the director's commentary on the DVD Blu-ray. There's many spoilers here, so obviously this shouldn't be the first way you're experiencing the movie. And it's a movie that has many layers to it, so yeah, I'm going to try and do my best commentary possible, give you as much of the breakdown of what I was thinking as possible, but I won't be able to catch all of it. I won't be able to get all of it in one sitting. So here goes. Okay. So this first scene, I kind of started with this idea of Halloween, right? Subverting the idea of the perfect white suburb. And in a moment here, Lakeith Stanfield, who plays the character Andre, will enter. It's crazy. He is talking on the phone to his girl, who she's having a party or meeting a friend, and somehow he got drawn out into this white suburb, and he's totally out of his element. All right, baby. A sort of hidden question you might ask yourself is the girl he's talking to Rose? Is she part of this trap? A couple moments ago, Andre had, he said suburb. He used like the sort of stereotypical white voice. And that, of course, is a foreshadowing to when he actually has a white voice later on. What was that? Peacock? Little shining shout out with the hedge maze line there. So this is the Porsche that I sort of wanted this Porsche to be like Jaws, like, it has this music coming from it. It has this menace, and also pulling from the movie Christine a little bit with just the mask that is a car. Also Duel, Steven Spielberg's first film.
Not today. Not me.
Right here, Andre makes the right decision. Any self-respecting black man knows you just start walking the other way if you're being followed by a car. And one of the first little reveals here. Now, if you notice, Jeremy is wearing a black Templar helmet. You only get to see it for a second, but that is in reference to this secret society he's a part of, which, I've got a whole mythology and lore about how they are descended from the original Knights Templar. And I'll talk about a little bit more about that later, that this operation that they've perfected is a way of channeling the Holy Grail's original power of immortality. Talk about Michael Abels and his amazing score for a second. First of all, you notice the credits are in that light blue, like The Shining. I totally ganked that, but it also foreshadows the font that is used in the Coagula video you'll see later. But Michael Abels was a first-time film composer who is a classical composer. He's versed in jazz, tribal, just about every kind of music you could want. I chose him because I really wanted the soundtrack here and the score to have this new, different sound, something we've never heard before. I sort of described it to him as like, if you can give me black voices with a sinister sound that's not voodoo, maybe something that almost sounds like a disembodied or satanic Negro spiritual. And so he rose to the challenge. Okay, so this is the Childish Gambino song Redbone. It's an amazing track. It's talking about stay woke. which I needed the whole audience to understand that the lead character, Chris, who we see as an urban photographer, is woke. He's not an idiot. He's alert. He's going to be making the right decisions to an extent. This song fit perfectly and was originally meant to be scored, but the score just ended up feeling so heavy, and it didn't bring us this sort of chill groove. So the first time we see Chris, he's putting white on his face. This is foreshadowing, of course, the nature of the operation. Mirrors and glass are also a big motif in this movie. So you can look for any time there's a reflection or somebody can see through the glass or that. So yeah, of course, he cuts himself shaving, another kind of motif, foreshadowing of the danger he's in. Of course, when we meet Rose for the first time, you see that little smile, which means something different the second time you watch it. You realize her smile when she's selecting these sweets is the same sinister smile we see in the pictures towards the end. So there was originally a little bit of dialogue here, but wasn't needed. And here we are. So we shot this in Mobile, Alabama. It's meant to feel like Brooklyn without being too specific.
Your toothbrush.
Check.
Do you have
this scene? It was very important for me to shoot this handheld, first of all, because I feel like there's something handheld can achieve many things. One of them is a sort of romantic feeling, like we're almost in this relationship with them. In the room with them in this intimate scene. And then the way Allison Williams and Daniel Kaluuya play this scene is just so pitch perfect. They came in when they first met, and we were discussing how these characters interact and why they're together, why we have to root for this relationship. The sense of humor seemed to be the thing that I think any audience can relate to as something that will draw these two people together. They're flirty and they're funny, and they obviously share this sense of humor and this sort of natural chemistry.
I don't want to get chased off the lawn with a shotgun.
Okay, so of course, I don't want to be chased off the lawn with a shotgun is a line that comes back later when Rose literally has a rifle in her front door and is chasing him off the lawn.
definitely fucking suck. But that's because he's a lame dad more than anything else.
So this was just an interesting point in the script writing to make Rose woke enough that she knows her dad might be sort of racially clumsy. This is, hiding the Rose reveal, turned out to be that is the toughest part of this whole movie because she's bringing him there. It's almost a feat I doubted I could ever really pull off. And but to do that, Allison Williams, she just did such an amazing job of isolating the mentality of the Rose character from the bad version, who we called Ro-Ro. So when she's acting in these scenes, I believe she's not even thinking about Ro-Ro or the bad part. The character is as good an actor as she is the whole idea. So here's Rod. This was the Rod's side of this was the very first thing we shot. We shot this in Los Angeles at a cruise ship terminal, actually. So that was the very first scene I ever shot as a director.
He's got IBS.
And Rod's character, Little Rel Howery, I mean, as you know, he comes in, he just slays this entire film. He's meant to give the audience a little bit of a release valve, but at the same time further ground the entire project. So even here, where we're sort of setting up that he's kind of he's suspicious of people, he's kind of a conspiracy theorist, but most importantly, he knows he makes Chris laugh. and that's kind of his job. He's going to try and crack his friend up. Some of his theories, he kind of, I don't think he kind of fully believes the theories he comes up with all the time. It's very much to make Chris laugh.
It's Rod.
And of course, Rose and Rod's connection is also comes back later. So that we did that deer with VFX, and it was, we took a little monofilament, pulled that tree, so it moved practically, and then, using as sparing VFX as we could, we sold the idea that this thing hits, and we kind of can't make it out. Here we go. So it probably would have had a better effect if I didn't have a red car for the blood to splatter on, but that's I think the red car still is so graphic that it's okay. Here in the theater, you can already hear people start to be like, "Come on, man, where are you going? No. Why are you going out there? Why are you going out there?" So I wanted Chris to be, the guy in a horror movie that makes the right decisions, or if he didn't make the right decision, like right here, he should just get in the car and go. There's no need to fuck with anything in the forest. But emotionally, we'll later understand that this is hitting him on a deeper level, and I don't think he quite even understands it yet. That's the shot of him crossing the threshold from the city into the country, and the wild. Part of this, the theme of this story is that Chris has built these constructs around his own soul and his own feelings of guilt and his primal nature. The city is a sort of, and concrete is a sort of symbol for that construct that is being broken down in this movie, and this little inciting incident sort of plants the breakthrough he's going to have later.
Setting up there for the weekend.
Sir, can I see your license, please?
You don't see it in this cut, but the idea here in the script was that Chris, not wanting to leave something dying by the side of the road, takes it upon himself to call the cops. Rose would not have called the cops because, of course, she does not want the cops involved. And this little stint where she's defending her man and sort of winning over the audience as a protector. When you watch it the second time, you might realize that, she's actually keeping the ID from this cop because she doesn't want any record of Chris and where he's going and all that. So that's just one of her little perfect, brilliant sociopathic moves here.
You, officer.
This is like, this is part of this story with the Rose character, forgetting about what she actually is. But we realized part of this story is about her getting woke. Basically, racism and race is something that black people, certainly this character Chris, has dealt with his entire life. But up until now, Rose has not been aware of racism in the same way. Here's Walter, played by Marcus Henderson, brilliantly. I wanted to deny the audience the chance to really get a good shot at him because I thought it would just, the mystery would play well with the awkwardness of realizing, oh, shit, they got black help here. This is just uncomfortable. This scene, too, we shot the interactions here for the, in closer coverage just to be safe, which ended up being a first-timer's mistake because this is always the way I wanted to cover the shot in the wide. I just doubted myself enough that I thought, well, I better get coverage. So, basically that's a third of a day or a third of a day I blew getting coverage I would never use out of this tight 23-day shoot. But I learned that lesson, and now I'll trust my instincts.
So how was your drive in?
It was fine. We actually...
This shot here, I almost got cut. It was one of these sort of stylistic shots that felt like it may be style over substance. But then when I lost it, I just realized, you know what? It feels right. I think partially because we're delaying seeing the Dean and Missy's faces, which the audience wants to see, and they're kind of pulled in. And it also sort of suggests some kind of stalker cam, like somebody else is in the house or some kind of spirit. Okay, so Bradley Whitford, Catherine Keener, two of the greats. They are sort of liberal elite god and goddess. I wanted them to be just the perfect family to come and get relief. Okay, great. These people are not racist. And, sure, Bradley uses words like thang or my man often and kind of, he has these little microaggressions that pop up. But, as any black person who's been in any kind of similar situation like this knows, is that's actually good news. The racism and prejudice comes in such more uncomfortable, sinister forms that somebody who's just kind of harmlessly a little ignorant here is a victory. So here goes the tour. This tour scene was very much based off of another one of these things based off of my love of The Shining, and the sort of importance of just the initial sequences of discovering the geography of the Overlook. It just helps with tension. It helps with the terror, and you're sort of imagining, okay, what's going to happen here? What's going to happen here? What context are we going to see this house in later?
It's such a privilege to be able to experience another person's culture. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Oh, you're going to love this.
Brad Whitford, of course, just such a commanding this scene. He just totally got it. I think in the original script, the character was more of a bear hug of a man, sort of, just a bigger barrel-chested sort of hardy guy. And when, I finally landed on Brad, we developed it into this sort of more relatable friend, best friend's father figure.
Seal it up. Some black mold down there. My mother loved her.
The black mold down in the basement, foreshadowing, and okay, so much is going on. I'm just trying to keep up here. So that shot where we reveal Georgina for the first time is basically, seeing the Shining twins down the hallway, or when we first meet Hannibal Lecter, just the whole vibe of coming up on somebody waiting for you patiently is creepy. So I use that. And then, of course, there's the whole Jesse Owens. His Dean's father was beat in the qualifying round for the Berlin Olympics by Jesse Owens. As we find out later, that's Walter, who is Dean's father. And, within that, we find sort of a motive for why the family has it in for black people, so to speak, is back in the day, Roman Armitage was physically beat by a black man on the world stage, and he never got over it. He became obsessed with this idea that black people have more God-given advantages, and that combined with the white man's determination, you could make the perfect being.
My lifetime handstand.
Obviously, very important to me for this movie to poke fun at the liberal elite and not the sort of more typically stereotypically racist red state crowd. And then this scene was tough. We had planes going by. There's an Air Force base pretty close, so we had planes going through this entire scene, and the whole audio team had to really dig it out. Here, Catherine, who is doing an amazing acting job and looks beautiful, begins to plant this the device she's later going to use in hypnosis by connecting Chris's anecdote about his mother to this the clinking the tea.
Should have Missy take care of that for you.
So this is all carefully planned dynamic from this family. You know, the whole lore of this movie sort of goes that Rose and Jeremy were basically raised to do this purpose. From a young age, they were groomed into these wranglers, so to speak. So every step here is very calculated. You know, Missy is the master of the plan of how to get them there. And how to maintain the illusion. She understands psychology. Of course, Dean is the master of the science of the operation.
George, it's Rose's grandfather's party.
My dad would throw a shindig once a year.
All right, so, you know, Georgina, you know, very much based on this sort of Stepford Wives idea. You know, I often describe the movie as like Stepford Wives meets The Help. Because there's this interesting and uncomfortable dynamic sometimes when you interact with, or you know, someone in Chris's situation would interact with someone in a service position like this and not know if he should, you know, essentially help a sister out somehow, or if that boundary should be kept. It's just an interesting dynamic. And, you know, a way to put Chris in an uncomfortable situation that later has sort of different implications. This little interaction between Missy and Georgina, by the way, is meant to be on the second viewing just a wife and a mother-in-law interaction. So just kind of annoyed. And it's like the mother-in-law is not the greatest at keeping the secret, so Missy sort of excuses her passively aggressively. I'm sure they hate each other. Caleb Landry Jones is an amazing actor as well. His performance is just so riveting, and I can't stress enough how many times, you know, he did this scene completely different but equally menacing and fascinating. He's just really interesting guy to watch and really passionate actor.
Where are your manners? Our guest wants to hear the stories, please.
So this, you know, we wanted to put them in the sort of slightly uncomfortable but relatable scene of, you know, when somebody brings somebody else into a family or a new situation, it really becomes about like airing the person's dirty laundry, and sort of connecting on how much we can sort of expose Rose. And this just felt very real to me.
I'm upstairs, hooking up with the hottest girl in class, chain dealing, right?
God. You realize you're coming off as like the world's biggest douchebag right now, right?
So, Connor starts...
So, yeah, just trying to keep this family feeling as real as possible. And, you know, I think Jeremy's character here is menacing, and because he's sort of flirting with the lines of the whole ruse here. I think he's probably the member of the family that actually has had the most rebellious stage against the whole grooming and everything, and you know the way he was raised. I think something in him knew it wasn't right, but he was turned into a monster. Now we see him sort of in front of his parents, and not in front of his mother because now she's gone, but pushing a little bit further because he can. You'll notice he's the one character that when the reveal about the family's intentions comes, he's the same guy. Everybody else sort of changes their characters a little bit, but he is being himself. He's actually not very good at lying or withholding his rage, which is why his wrangling method is not to seduce, but to grab off the street.
I did judo after school, first grade.
Aw.
You should have seen me.
Judo? I love that when he does that line. And it's so scary. Even the way he's moving here is just so freaky to me. It's like he's imagining riding this guy. I think Jeremy, you know, is secretly wants Chris's body. Like he's into this idea that he might be able to get that body and become better at jujitsu. Of course, he won't get it.
Oh, a whole bunch of nothing.
Just talking about sports.
Hey,
Yeah. That's good.
So the thing about jujitsu, just so condescending, but so, you know, I don't know how he manages to sort of be strangely charming in this scene, but he's so fucking hateable, and at the same time, I'm like, this guy's just so crazy. I can't even deal with him.
cool.
I mean, Daniel, I could talk all day about how amazing Daniel is. You know, at some point we realized, you know, Chris doesn't have very many lines in this. And it's true. That's not, you know, his role is to just kind of get out of here without the shit hitting the fan. You know, even in these scenes here, I think he's just trying to minimize the awkwardness and make it through the weekend and get out. So that's why, you know, he's not gonna pop off, and of course he's in love, so we understand why you're on your best behavior at your love's parents' house. Okay, so this scene was extremely important. I don't think I had it in the original draft, but you know, I was sort of adding this idea of Rose's continued wokeness because yeah, I think like this scene, for example, is pivotal in our not suspecting her or our shelving our suspicions of her. The fact that she's more turned up about this than he is sort of suggests that she's not trying to pacify him. She's not trying to calm him. There's no, you know, I think, you know, if maybe probably in an earlier version of the script, she was doing some version of like, I think it's going to be okay, sweetie. And he was the one who's getting weird. Well, this switch was, in energies was crucial for the film because, you know, obviously the audience, I think, subconsciously presumes that if she was in on it, she wouldn't be wiling out like this. Chris has to bring her back down to earth. So I think we really win her. She wins our trust in this scene as well as his. And as Chris is saying now, look, you're seeing race for the first time. So yeah, it's pretty, that's pretty shocking to you. To me, this is the best case scenario. Your family's only slightly uncomfortable, and maybe your brother's a psychopath, but that's okay. These guys had such amazing chemistry that and they're just such good actors. At one point, Allison told me she wanted to practice the love scene, that she was uncomfortable and nervous. So I went all the way out very nervously. I went all the way out to the house she was staying to literally rehearse the love scene with her and Daniel. I was so uncomfortable. And then, of course, I got there, and it was a surprise party for me. And at which point I realized, of course, Allison Williams is not fucking nervous to do a fucking love scene after what she's done on Girls. We right there, that was... you know, the shot was sort of Chris's perspective. He's still thinking about that deer laying in the middle of the road. Of course, you know, really that's his subconscious telling him, you know, the last time you left something in the middle of the road, it was your mother. And the stuffed lion is part of reference to this, you know, the predator. You know, I had some of a motif going on that, you know, white people are sort of lions and black people are tigers, you know, sort of two types of the same, you know, two species in the same animal kingdom or something. But whatever, that's, you know, that's a little bit of a stretch. But the lion also is symbolic of Christ, and of course the Knights Templar is the group here. The Georgina Sting right there, you know, this scene originally didn't have it, and we were literally on the day I had this realization that Georgina needs to creep by, and so we called Betty Gabriel in at the very last minute, and we orchestrated that sting, and it's another one that if I hadn't made that audible on the fly, I think the momentum of the movie would just be really struggling right now. But, okay. So this is, I think one of my favorite things is using depth, sort of inspired by things like North by Northwest with the classic plane scene. Somebody running at you or towards you just creates a very visceral and physical reaction for the audience. Of course, upon second viewing, you realize the reason he's running is because with his new black body, he's trying to beat Jesse Owens' time. So he's jogging and he's obsessed. You also see Georgina, Betty Gabriel, of course, admiring her reflection, which is preventing her from seeing Chris outside. And we know she's admiring her reflection. Now we know why second viewing, we understand why she wants the black body, as she believes that it's exquisite.
Yeah.
Come in and sit with me.
So this is one of my favorite scenes in the film. It's partially based off of some of the Silence of the Lambs, Lecter Starling scenes, where he just shows a certain mastery to be able to get inside of her head. And that's what I wanted to happen here. I wanted Chris and the audience to know that this was a trap, that this was a setup, that there's no way you can allow yourself to be hypnotized, and no self-respecting black man would in this situation. But even with that, for Missy to be one step ahead of Chris and the audience, and already now when she's clicking the T, she's, they're talking about the pocket watch, but she's already getting him with this little T motion down there.
That's right. That's right.
So there she's getting him, but he doesn't know.
You smoke.
It's also very important for me to make this not, a hypnosis scene where the guy just starts talking, I'm a baby now. I'm 11. I wanted him to keep his composure and to be sort of grounded and, continually be resistant against the idea of being hypnotized. So even here, where it feels like, nah, brother, don't. Okay. All right, he's not going for it. He doesn't want to talk about his mother, but she's got him.
Watching TV.
Do you hear the TV?
So this is Chris's worst memory. The thing he doesn't like to think about is when he was paralyzed by fear, watching this TV screen and sort of wishing that reality wasn't what it was. His mother hadn't come home, and instead of going out and helping or calling somebody, he was petrified. This kind of starts getting into the greater themes of the movie, of neglect, of marginalization, paralyzation by fear and by a system that Chris and I think all of us are in, specifically in regards to the racial conversation. Another piece of what's happening here is, Chris is part of a system. As we said earlier, his father was never really around. It's a small line, but it's very powerful. Fathers not being around is an epidemic in the black community. My father wasn't around. I think Chris's father, whether he was literally in prison or not, I think there is a relevance with the idea of the disappearance of black men. And Chris, of course, as a child, is facing this crippling guilt because he didn't do what presumably another adult, a father figure, would have been able to do. So just by him being the man of his household at a young age, he was dealing with too much responsibility.
How do you feel now?
I can't move.
You can't move. like that day when you did nothing. You did nothing.
Okay, Missy's sinking her claws in here, and we sort of lowered her voice to really...
To the floor.
Wait.
Sink.
We just emphasized the bass there, and here we go. So this is the sunken place. We put Chris on some wires and VFX'd the particles in the screen. This is meant to be a construct of Chris's mind, and it is a representation of his own worst fear, right? This place he was, this time he was powerless and, sort of confined to this constraint, and all he could do was watch this TV. But as you will find out, the sunken place is it's really a tool that Missy uses to sedate her victims and also to prepare them for the brain surgery, which, of course, you have to be awake for brain surgery. So here she comes, and
Now you're in the sunken place.
which I always hope would become a classic line. It's just it's so weird and twisted, the sunken place. Part of that idea for me came from, when you're about to fall asleep and you feel like you're falling, but you catch yourself and you wake up. Well, what if you never caught yourself? Where would you fall? Where would you go into? Just to blow your minds for 1 second, in my mind, the sunken place is experienced differently for everyone else. It is a state of mind that is, created by your own brain, based on Missy sort of latching on to your deepest fear or your darkest moment, so that Andre, the woman who is Georgina, or Walter, all live in some sort of marginalized state where they can see through the eyes of their captor, but they can't do anything. But everyone's room and sunken place would look different. So Chris he doesn't really remember what happened last night. Maybe it was a dream. He's out here taking pictures, which, in some ways, Missy's hypnosis did help him face that fear. He's creatively inspired, but he's also now he's in detective mode. He knows something's wrong. He just doesn't know what. And we see Georgina about to take off her wig, but getting caught. Obviously anyone that's a post-coagula operation character in this has to have either a wig or a hat to hide their surgical scar. So here's Walter. We sort of invented a little hymn for the Red Alchemist Society that Georgina and Walter both sang at different points in the film. And I just love this performance from Marcus Henderson. It's almost like Walt Disney is in there or something. Just so unnatural to see this big dude, and that's the voice and mannerisms that come out.
I didn't get to meet you, actually, up close. I'm Chris. I know who you are.
Marcus came in and he nailed his audition so hard. We knew we wanted this to just feel unnatural and like the last thing we would expect.
Doggone keeper.
And he just delivered. Also, top of the line was an improv he did in the audition that I remember saying, like, remember when you said top of the line? You gotta say that. That's so fucking weird and old and creepy.
Yeah. And did it work? What worked?
This is an interesting scene and sort of a tough one because we've seen Chris go through this kind of extreme experience, and now he's not running. So we're sort of grasping over these last couple scenes that, yeah, he can't quite separate dream from reality. He's, Walter's helping him put it together. Just one more reason that the family has told Grandma and Grandpa, you know what, guys, just stay on the outskirts. Just be the help. Trust us. You're not very good at dealing with these vessels. And Grandma and Grandpa are like, what are you talking about? Of course we are. We invented this operation. It's my house. No, Dad, just chop wood. That's my feeling of how that works.
I can barely remember anything, but now the thought of a cigarette makes me...
Another important but tricky scene as far as the hiding the character of Roro.
Sorry. I can't believe she did that to you.
I had some fucked up dreams.
What'd you dream?
Chris is coming to terms with what happened last night, but Rose's reaction is she's kind of pissed at her mom, but she also kind of thinks it's funny. She just sort of helps imply, maybe what's going on is more in your head from from your own personal state of paranoia with all of this. But she does that without saying it. She just just by virtue of her sort of joking this off, and in this interaction with Walter, she's sort of correct that he's wrong. Chris's presumption that Walter is into Rose is wrong. So I think the audience knows that, and the fact that Rose also helps emphasize that. Helps put her on our side and Chris's side. She's helping him figure this out as opposed to hindering him.
Oh, boy.
So here comes the party guests. This is the, what I've called the Red Alchemist Society all coming. And, of course, they're all old friends of Grandpa. And here he is, greeting his old friends. And here we are. Okay, so these scenes were some of the hardest scenes, I swear. When you have, the more people you have, it just gets exponentially harder. Now here we have John Wilmot and Karen Larkey, two fantastic actors. I believe they're New Orleans based, but I may be wrong about that. And they just got this thing, I wanted this first couple to be kind of cute and the most unassuming, the least offensive, and most relatable. And, of course, John Wilmot's character, Gordon Green, was a golfer, but now his hip is messed up. He loves Tiger so much, he's convinced he needs a black body with a great stroke to reinvigorate his golfing career in his new life.
Are you
Okay, this is Ashley the Kant Campbell, who is, I just instructed her to do a very vampiric performance. I also like, bringing in a little bit of an international flair, so we have this sense that whatever this group is, it's big. This actor's name is Rutherford Cravens. Yes, you got that right. Rutherford Cravens, and his wife's played by Julianne Dunn. They are sort of pitch perfect and have that quality like they'd be perfect in a Roald Dahl movie. Rutherford Cravens is a pretty fantastic actor, but also the best name in the industry. All right, so another little kind of awkward interaction between mom and mother-in-law. But then over here we see the uncomfortable attention, and Chris is sort of escaping into his camera. He's using it for investigative purposes, but more than anything, he's using it as a shield, as a barrier between, because he's just fed up with all this attention. And of course, the woman in the background checking his butt out. Is this the body I want for my husband, or the body I want for me, for that matter? There's no gender in requirements in the coagula procedure. So this is that moment really all black people, any minority recognizes when you feel isolated and you see another brother. It's like, let's go, I got to connect with this brother real quick. Of course, you can't connect with him because Andre is now Logan.
I'm Philomena, and you are...
And a lot of people don't, or I should say some people don't realize that Logan is the same guy from the first scene, just different. I think that's testament to Keith's range in his acting. And also that, we're not necessarily trained to differentiate black people as a culture and a society. But that's just me trying to be woke up in here.
The Wincots were asking...
This element of Chris's fear that he might be abandoning his black side, so to speak. And part of that is this fear that, hey, if you are a husband or a partner to this white woman, there is this dynamic where, what the gentleman's role is that of a provider, of someone who can offer services, who can hold things for you. And there's a little bit of uncomfortableness and awkwardness in Chris's subconscious. And of course, that couple is so bizarre, he's just totally thrown. Here we go. This is Jim Hudson, played by Stephen Root, the blind art dealer, which was a character I realized was maybe a little over the top, but ultimately realized it's just over the top enough.
All of them. They mean what?
This is the guy that is meant to bring us some relief for a moment. First of all, because he's not only colorblind, he's literally blind, but he's also in the art world. He is an apparent ally to Chris. He understands that people focusing on race or color, there's an ignorance to them.
A blind art dealer isn't lost on me.
How'd you do it?
The fact here, as Hudson's about to discuss, that he wanted to be a photographer. He tried. He just didn't have the eye. This is the character that ultimately ends up protesting too much, that he doesn't see race, he doesn't care what color Chris is. He just wants that eye. He's got a more twisted, perverse agenda. But even though I don't say it, I believe that Jim Hudson does think that if he is a black photographer, he will get more attention. So even when the character seems as woke as he possibly can be for a white man trying to steal a black man's body, he still got a shade of straight up old-fashioned prejudice. This scene was very much based on scenes from the Stepford Wives, where the husbands are walking around rooms silently and sort of exploring her belongings. Just such a creepy image. It's also based on a dream of mine where I was walking through a lobby that was a bustling lobby in a bank, and I turned the corner and just all the noise stopped. And when I turned back, everyone that was bustling around was just standing looking at me silently. And then I woke up, and I put it in this movie. All right, so this is like, phones are something that need to be dealt with in the modern horror universe. Why don't you just call somebody? So I wanted to make this constant threat that someone's unplugging his phone. Obviously, it's, Georgina unplugged it because, the less batteries he has, the less help he can call for, the less contact he can have. So it's all part of the great plan.
Who?
Georgina, I came here to talk to Rob.
This is another important scene with Rose. I'm helping disguise her involvement because instead of pacifying him, she's coming at him, and she's pissed. She's not trying to make him feel more comfortable. But when he assumes that Georgina is pissed because he's dating a white girl, which of course we know is not the case, she makes fun of him for it. And I think that's another point where she endears herself to the audience because, hey, if she's going to call out his prejudice and she's actually helping him get closer to the truth because she's right. It's not because he's so damn sexy, which he is. He's a very sexy man, especially when he goes into his real accent, which is British. Then this dude cleans up.
I got hypnotized last night.
Nigga, get the fuck out.
All right, so Little Rel Howery is amazing. We shot 2 days with him. I believe with both of these scenes, I was the other character on the other side. I don't think they were in the same room, but it works pretty flawlessly. That's one of the advantages to being a sketch performer as a director, is you can sort of do half-assed versions of these characters.
Barking like a dog, flying around like you're a fucking pigeon, looking ridiculous, okay? Or
I think flying around like a pigeon was Rel's improv. There's, every actor kind of got to do their own process with me. And every actor has very different processes.
okay, but that was after you fucked the head.
Rel's process, I very quickly realized that, he was very funny reading my lines, but if I ever said, like, dude, just do it, like, in your voice. Like, give me,
They still suck the dick.
get into your stand-up mode and play with it, he would just come up with some amazing details, and amazing details that are different and different takes. That's Jeffrey Dahmer business. It was not in the script. So I thought it was so funny.
Send it to me, okay? I'm gonna tell you this. I think that mom is putting everybody.
So the important thing here is Rod he's right, but he's not so right that Chris should be just listening to him. He's talking about sex slaves and shit. Chris knows that's not the case. So at the same time as being a sort of wild conspiracy theorist who is making Chris feel like maybe his paranoia is just that, it's paranoia. Of course, Rod is saying what we all wish somebody would say, and he's getting closest to figuring this out.
To wipe down the dresser, and it accidentally came
Betty Gabriel. This is, I think, one of the most classic scenes in film history, horror film history. Myself, and I'm a tough critic. Her performance here sums up the entire movie. I mean, really. And I knew this was such a pivotal scene because it has to be even creepier. It has to be more than we've seen so far. And, of course, Toby Oliver, the amazing cinematographer here, picked the perfect lens for right up close. Basically all I told Toby is, like, look, this scene has to feel more menacing, more creepy, more in your face. And Toby picked the perfect lens, as he always does. So this is the moment where Georgina inside, she starts to fight her way out of the sunken place, but Grandma puts her in check and kicks her back into submission. And that was, I told Betty, I was like, say no as many times as you want. Like, literally, it's just the more times you do it, the crazier. And so she gave me 10.
Not at all. The Armitages are so good to us. They treat us like family.
Total Stepford Wives moment. It's like, what the hell? She's so into her role as being a servant. She has no her soul. What happened to her soul? What happened to her quote unquote blackness? She's docile, she's obedient, and she's also aggressive in this weird way.
Hey, hang on. Chris, I want to introduce you to...
This was a very tough scene to shoot because we just didn't have very much time. These extras were just... Oh, there goes Georgina in the back, and if you listen closely, you can hear her singing the hymn I was talking about.
Has more advantage or disadvantage in the modern world.
Okay, so this is Yasuhiko Oyama, who is actually a friend's father of mine. It was I found it very difficult to find a Japanese actor in Alabama, and Mr. Yoyama is not only a fantastic actor here, but he's a karate master, and he's also Ken Marino's father-in-law. Little piece of trivia.
For the most part, very good.
All right, so here is Logan, and Chris sort of puts the question to Logan to sort of get out of it and maybe put this guy on the spot. And Chris's idea here is, I'm gonna take a picture. I'm gonna send it to Rod so Rod can see what this guy is wearing. And as you see in Logan's eyes, the light from his portal into his own personal sunken place sort of fades, and some sort of synapse, whatever happens when a strobe effect creates a seizure. I figured that there was a similar sort of synapse happening here that affected the operation. But as soon as Andre gets out of the sunken place, he yells at Chris what he's been yelling from the sunken place. Brother, get out! Get out the house! Come on, man. Nah, come on, man. So, basically the sunken place, amongst other things, it is a metaphor for the marginalization of the black horror movie audience. We are a loyal horror movie fan base, and we're relegated to the theater, not on the screen. We don't have representation of our skin in horror films, nor do we have the representation of our sensibilities and our ability to observe trouble before it happens, and our ability to excuse ourselves. It also, of course, conjures the Eddie Murphy routine where he's talking about the Amityville horror and that a black family would deal in that situation differently. Get out. Too bad we can't stay, baby. One of the great comedy bits. But this movie for me was a answer to the lack of representation, and I think as a culture, as a country, I feel like our lack of ability to talk about race, specifically the prison industrial system and complex, and the disproportionate amount of black people, mostly men, who are literally abducted, thrown into a hole, and tossed to the back of our minds. These people are tossing black men to the back of their minds, literally and figuratively. And the sunken place is a metaphor for that particular marginalization.
And that's what he said it was. I'm inclined to trust.
That wasn't a seizure.
What was it then?
How long have you known that guy?
I met him today. Why?
Man, this is gonna sound weird, but when he came
now is at this point where it's like, leave, brother, leave. Don't be an idiot, leave. So I had to make him, he's trying to leave now. He's trying to leave, and I think that is a relief to us. At least this stupid dude he's not trying to stay around. He's trying to figure out. He's not a dumbass. He knows that wasn't a seizure. He's trying to break it to this woman that he loves why he has to leave her house, which, may be the, may end the relationship. And Chris is in love. He is. And especially out here where she is his only security blanket. I think he connects to her at his sort of all-time high, but he can't describe to her what's happening and where his suspicions are coming from, which of course is in itself a metaphor for what I think a feeling a lot of African Americans will have is that we're perceiving something and being told that we're not actually perceiving it correctly. All right, so here's, of course, the big reveal. This bingo scene is actually an auction. I wanted to keep the sort of particulars of how this auction works pretty mysterious. Like, what are these? What are the numbers? Are they millions of dollars, billions of dollars? In my particular lore, which is the one we should go with, I think. The Knights Templar, who this group is descended from, were collectors of antiquities and treasures. So I have it in my mind that they trade amongst each other these relics and artifacts, and that the numbers that he's holding up are the amount of relics somehow. So, Chris realizes he's just told the woman he loves that he is going to leave without her. And based on her reaction, I think he channels his internal demon. He realizes that once again in his life, he is risking the abandonment of his family. And so basically I knew I had to keep Chris in this situation. I couldn't let him just run yet, so I didn't want this to turn into a chase movie. So I dug into the core of what makes him him. And one of the darkest building blocks of his psychology is this traumatic moment where he left his family. And he has been hiding this truth from Rose that he actually could have saved his mother. When we shot this, Daniel was having a hard time getting there originally, and he was like, "Hey, Jordan, I need help. There's a block." And we discussed it, and at some point, I said, Daniel, the reason you haven't told her this is because you don't want the woman you love to know that you are the type of person who abandons your family. And he goes, yep, got it. He went and he knocked this out of the ballpark. This scene was so emotional for me. I mean, I was looking at it not like Ro existed. I was looking at it like Rose and Chris. And I remember just being on set, and after we shot this, just kind of just crying, really. Because first of all, we were chasing the sun, which means we were running out of daylight. And it's such an important scene, because if we don't understand why Chris is staying in this situation, the whole thing topples apart. It's like, we hate him. It's like, nah, nigga, no. Hey, fuck, I'll be out. Let me. I wanted to satisfy that dude who, at the very least, could understand, but I see, I wish he wasn't in love. I wish he didn't understand. He's got his mother. He's seen his mother. All right. So here we got Jeremy with his little deliverance ukulele. This scene, a very interesting little piece where it's in the in-between world. Chris is still suspicious, but he's kind of pacified. The audience, though, we know, oh my God, he's in for it. And it's a very tricky moment, this whole upcoming sequences storytelling-wise, because you don't want the audience to be so frustrated that we're so far ahead of this character who can't see what's going on. So very quickly, I'm going to have him catch up, and not only catch up, but get a step ahead of the audience so we can trust our protagonist again. So he's sending the picture to Rod here, just as look at this brother, man, look how he's dressed, kind of thing. And Rod gets back at him pretty comedically quick.
Oh, that's Drake.
Once again, Rod's drinking. That's his vice.
Used to kick it with Veronica. Veronica from what? Teresa's sister that worked at the movie theater.
Here I'm playing off of the cliche that all black people know each other. I really wanted, in a lot of ways, the stereotypes and cliches about what it means to be white and means to be black to aid this film. So along with the
oh shit! Chris, you gotta get the fuck.
Of course, he still thinks it's sex safe, so he's not completely right.
You gonna be hello, Chris? Oh shit! His battery must be fucking.
Anyway, I wanted, along with the perception that black people have about the social dynamic of where race is concerned. You know, I wanted different sort of stereotypically black qualities to help Chris figure this out, and also set him back from time to time. Now we're going to see that little sixth sense, that little Spidey, that black Spidey sense kind of come in. And Chris this door's been nagging on him. He knows there's more to this story than he knows, and he's got to figure out. That becomes a number one priority for him. In my mythology of this, Rose is so sick and twisted that she always leaves the door a little bit open just in case they want to find that's a part of the thrill of the hunt, is leaving a tantalizing opening for Chris to find these pictures. That's just part of her character. Her sort of flaw is that she's sort of like a cat and mouse. Okay, so here we see that not only Rose has dated black guys before, and here's proof. And maybe she's just lied to him, but I think we all know that it's more than that. Now we see she's got a full-on fetish, but oh my God, it's Walter. So I think here, you know, the audience is meant to know that this was a trap, but maybe doubt in the back of their minds that, okay, or is it somehow she's just had relationships with all these people, or is maybe she's evil, but she's hypnotized by the mother or something? Either way, Chris is going to have to do the smartest thing he can. I think a lot of people's instinct is just, run, motherfucker, run! I wanted Chris to make the smart move. Try and just calmly get the keys. He's going to go, when he gets outside, he's going to get into the car, he's going to hightail it, but he just needs those keys. So if he gets the keys, it's all good, we're out. He's not showing that he knows anything, so there's no reason that they would doubt that he would come back.
You can't find those keys.
Well, you can't find those keys? That was a line that I added on the day that is one of my favorite lines, just because, you know, Chris's inner like man comes out there. Oh, you can't find those keys? I see you.
Just put the bags in the car, man.
Would anyone like tea?
Here we go. So this was like the trickiest scene to wrap my head around, to get everyone to wrap their head around. It was a instinct I had that the audience would be with us on the edge of our seats throughout all of this, even though on paper there's the tension is sort of dissipated by the fact we know Rose is evil. So the sleight of hand I had to pull here was keep us just in enough doubt that maybe she's hypnotized, maybe we're in a misunderstanding, so that the second reveal, the final reveal, that Rose isn't, it's not even that she's just luring him in, but she is a completely different person than we've ever met, will hit home. So now Dean's going into some of the mythology of the Red Alchemist Society. They believe that they are destined for immortality and deity status, and over hundreds of years they have worked to figure out through science a way to achieve the power of the Holy Grail. This performance from Daniel is one of my favorites, and we really pushed, and I remember having to really work him into that state, and then finally when he did it, it was the last take, and it was like, it was exactly what this movie needs. Is like, you know what? He's been holding it in for the whole movie.
Those keys, Rose.
It's time to let it out.
You know I can't give you the keys, right, babe?
And that's just like, I love it. I just love that. I love the way this scene unfolds. I love that he knows it, and she's right. He does know it, but he had one little, like, girl, if you tell me it's all a mistake and I'm so sorry and let's go and let's run. If you, like, I know you won't, but if you do, we'll go. But all hope is lost.
Oh, shit.
Is he hurt?
Roro immediately starts putting her annoying hair into the more perfect and pristine ponytail. We meet her character. I'm transfixed with her character right now because we've never met this person. She's completely cold, chill, blasé. She is precise and obviously an absolute psychopath, but we don't know anything about her. Because of this quality, I think this Roro character is probably my favorite character in the movie. It's like, this is some crazy, sick, bitch villain shit. I don't even know.
You hear that, Chris? Huh?
So to make this scene, we actually had this rig that was kind of like a stretcher. We put a camera on. And that's that wide shot that shows us how fucking expansive the sunken place is. All right, so this is the part of the movie where it's couldn't get any worse, and much like Halloran in The Shining or the sheriff in Misery, I wanted to have the character on the outside offer us some hope, and we love Rod, so I felt like in the darkest moment of the movie, we can sort of begin a new chapter, begin a new momentum, and I think it's exactly what the audience needs.
Yeah.
So yeah, Chris hasn't come back, and Rod realizes this could be serious. I think when he was originally talking to Chris about leave, motherfucker, I think he still didn't completely believe that this was a sex slave situation. Like, in reality, even if shit's getting weird, you're not quite all there. But now that Chris hasn't come back, he really is suspecting it. And further looking up Andre, finding out that, of course, Andre has been missing, just goes to validate everything. And it all kind of comes crystal clear in this moment.
Oh, shit.
All right, so this was this crazy room we found in Mobile, Alabama, that had these amazing lights, and it just had this uncanny quality. I always talked about this room as being like some kind of evil feng shui that Missy had come up with. Like, it was meant to fit in with the sort of stereotypical white rec room vibe, but just have this real David Lynchian offness going on. We set up the bocce ball, the perfect weapon for later. The room is actually designed to keep him mentally confined. And here the buck is, of course, not only a word used when describing strong black men in the past, but it is a symbol, it's the male version of the doe that he hits. So I also imagine that the deer is a symbol used by the Red Alchemist Society.
Is there anything more beautiful than a sunrise? Hi, I'm Roman Armitage. And if you're watching this, you're probably...
Originally this scene was just, he was being forced to listen to You've Got a Friend by James Taylor over and over again. And when I realized I couldn't afford that song, I invented this thing, which I think works better. Especially saying it out loud, it definitely works better. Richard Hurd is the actor here, and he just had this wonderfully both totally pleasant quality, but also you can imagine he's capable of really devilish things. And Grandpa loves his garden. That's why he's always out there gardening. He loves being outside. He loves working with the greenery. And here we see where the picture from earlier came from, and the entire family together. Full disclosure, I did not realize that the actor playing young Jeremy was that much shorter than the actor playing Rose until we got them on set. And yeah, I mean, it's just first movie. You can't really fire a little kid for not being tall enough. It's just not done. Okay, the Behold the Coagula. I love this idea. This is also kind of like ripped from J.J. Abrams, the videos in Lost, the Dharma Initiative, where you just get this sense of like, oh my God, there's this produced thing. It goes so deep. We're just at the tip of the iceberg. And so I wanted to kind of play with that idea, put my own spin on it.
Williams. Rod Williams.
Okay, Erica Alexander, who just came in and just killed this with her audition. She brought this character from, what on paper felt a little bit like a sort of stereotypical black woman police officer character, and she just brought a reality to this character and a depth that I felt like was so needed for my to talk about enhancing the script.
His name is Chris Washington. He left on Friday with his girlfriend, Rose Armitage.
This scene is meant to give us a break and give us a safe space and a relief. It's but I didn't want to really tell any jokes. I just wanted to let the scene be what it would be in real life, which is kind of this dead end. Now, I realized it would sort of get laughs, but there's several moments in this where I really let Rel just go off and improvise, and he just delivered so hard.
That's because we found him, right? But Chris says he's acting real different.
Different how?
This dude is from Brooklyn, huh? He didn't dress like this.
I also wanted this, I wanted to, make sure that, we had a little bit of the safety, I didn't want to make these cops white cops either, just to sort of like create this mythology that all cops are white, I wanted this to feel like, okay, this is kind of racially and logistically a safe spot. We got a black female cop. This is great. But, where some people in the audience might say, oh, okay, they're gonna start figuring this out together. Of course, no, that's not the way it works when you walk into cops. The detective's office is talking about sex slave cults and secret societies with no actual evidence.
But that's a totally different story. So look, I go do my detective work, right?
Right here we have, on the left we've got Ian Castleberry, and on the right we've got Geronimo Spinks, two of the best names in Hollywood as well. You might recognize Ian from the first scene in Keanu, where he plays the drug lord.
They already got 2 brothers we know, and it could be a whole bunch of brothers they got already. What's the next move?
I mean, Rel is so funny to direct. Also, the other thing about Rel is like every time he does it, he gets better. So if you don't have what you need, you can just be like, all right, give me another one, and it's going to be closer or far outshine your expectations. He's such a fun actor to work with. And now this scene, this was the second day, the last thing we shot with Rel. And as this scene goes on, you'll see he gets sweatier. My dude got sick, like in the middle of the day. And by the end of the scene, he was like, had a fever. Like he had to go home, and he had been touring for a while. So he was in a bad spot, but it actually works with the performance.
Yo,
this is one of my favorite scenes, just because, my 2 favorite characters are hitting in full force, just grand slam performances. Just to give you an idea of how amazing Allison Williams is, I mean, I came to her in the beginning, a couple of days before we shot this scene, and I said, look, I'm going to ask you to do something that I don't know or think if it's necessarily possible. And she was like, yes. Like, that's her shit if you tell her something like that. I was like, can you give me, like, Rose's face and expression, but Rose's voice, like, with all the inflection and character? And she's like, I'll see what I can do. And then she came back and just absolutely clipped this scene off like 5 times in a row, like just a master. I mean, if there's any doubt about anything that, you know, she can do, I mean, this is proof. Like, I think you would normally need somebody to, you know, you would normally need her to come in and record the voice separately to kind of pull this off. Ooh, that TSA shit tingles. That's one of my favorite parts. Yes, a lot of this movie was created to get favors from the TSA moving through the airport. That was the point. Speaker? Unmute. So this is where you can see he's like starting to get sick. He's like... So yeah, I wanted, you know, Rod is good. Like he does have TSA skills. And, but he's totally outplanned, out crazy. Like she's a professional at this. She's been doing this her whole life. And, she knows he's recording it. She knows he's recording it. And that,
There's something between us.
she starts digging into their little flirtatious, past, which makes Rod completely uncomfortable. He doesn't want that recorded, and he's just totally you know, threatened by it. And of course, this is sort of a veiled threat. Like on the recording, it sounds like one thing, but basically what she's saying to him is, "You're next, motherfucker, if you keep going." So Rod gets defeated, and we are back in the belly of the beast here. And Allison, basically, she would prepare for this side of the character for like 45 minutes before we would shoot. And if you got near her when she was in row mode, you would be creeped out. Like, she's not warm. Like, I think her own dog was like, "Arr." You know, Chris once again wakes up from the sunken place. Every time he goes there, it's he's in the space embodiment of his worst fear. Space embodiment, the mental state.
You can answer. There's an intercom in the room.
Okay, so now Jim Hudson comes back. The guy, the art dealer. All right. We know we're going to get answers in this scene, and I really wanted this scene to play like the scene in the first, at the end of the first act of The Matrix, when Morpheus just simply tells you what the Matrix is. I thought it was such a great device, because first of all, I think at this point in this movie, we want answers, and I just love the idea of telling the audience the answer in some ways. I think it's so direct and unexpected that it would come like that. And like in The Matrix, when the answer is satisfying, you feel like you've been just given a gift of information.
Yeah. For phase 3, the transplantation.
Okay, so now we and Chris start to realize what's really going on here. This is mad science. This is brain transplantation. This movie is sort of meant to be my take on Frankenstein, and you kind of realize that now, that you know, in many ways the African American experience is this country's Frankenstein monster. I mean,
Being able to see and hear what your body is doing, but your existence will be as a passenger.
So, you know, there was one point where the idea was they were just going to do a brain transplantation and then you would die. But I realized we could tie in this sunken place sedation device and say that you are in there. And that, of course, was the big revelation for me writing, that brought everything together, is that your will is taken and your body is used. This is a modern form of slavery.
Why us? Huh? Why black people?
And now the question everybody wants to know, why? Why would you, is it because you hate us? Is it because you're KKK? No.
People want to change.
There's a variety of different reasons. Everyone has their own different thing. It's not one. But the commonality is that you're being valued for your skin and your culture and what you bring that enhances our lives, but you're not being valued as a soul that is equal, as a human being. And yeah, I don't think I'll ever write anything as cool as that for the rest of my life. That's about as good as it gets. So good night, folks. And thanks for watching. All right, no, here we go. Let's get back into it. I went on a little spiral tangent, realizing that it's gonna be hard to beat this one. So give me a little rope, guys, to make a worse movie, please. Here we go. Chris sees the cotton that we've been planting, that he has this nervous tick with his when he's facing his fears, that he scratches. Now, for the second time viewer, you already know that the cotton's already in his ears. He's pretending to fall asleep. And for those of you who are hip to it, you're right. I was intending the irony of picking the picking of cotton being what ends up saving this African American from slavery. All right, so this is my sort of Cronenberg's operating room. Just described it as like a dark ceremonial operating room. I wanted this thing to feel like we can sort of feel the history of the cult. And if you want me to really ruin the movie for you, that prop is pretty much, I think it's was like a poker chip box that we converted. So there you go. Sorry, you can't unhear that. Once again, just like Michael Abels with the score is just, I wanted this to feel like a ritual. Like this is something they've been trying to do for hundreds of years, and finally they've figured it out. And there's this sort of religion aspect. My production designer, Rusty Smith, made this incredible hallway that, I just wanted all the pictures and imagery, that the implications of the depth of and history of the secret society. But I knew I would only give the audience little glimpses, just so you know how deep it goes. And trust me, I know the entire history of this secret society. It goes deep, but you only get little pieces. On another DVD, I'll take you through the history of the Red Alchemist Society. All right, so this is obviously turning point in the movie. It was, I debated whether or not I should just sneak up on the audience with this, but I wanted to give you that little grab of the bocce ball just so we can be with Chris and have that same sense of anticipation. Okay, and the actor Caleb Landry Jones laid there as we sort of pumped blood for this upcoming overhead shot of him. We pumped blood for about 2.5 minutes straight. He laid there. He didn't blink once. He's a psychopath, and I love him for it. That shot. So now Chris looks at his sort of spirit animal, right? The stag, the buck. He is becoming the man that he always should have been. He's becoming the lost father figure for himself in this moment. And then, of course, the father figure of the Armitages realizes something's wrong. And so I wanted to use the footsteps here because there's something effective to me about giving the audience a little bit of notice right before you hit them with something. It's almost like they get distracted, and it sort of helps the effect of the jump scare or the surprise, and I think it did there. A lot of the deer is the antlers, at least, are VFX. We had an antlerless deer that we used. Okay, now you hear Grandma's little hymn, the Red Alchemy hymn. And she is in her kitchen, as we sort of planted earlier in the movie. Grandma loves her kitchen, so we keep a piece of her in here. Now she's just knitting, but, she wasn't really doing housekeeping services as a servant. She was doing it as in she was keeping her own house. Okay, so the standoff. Missy, who has the power of the mind and hypnosis, is sort of reduced to a physical altercation that she won't win. I knew this for me was a particularly edgy scene. You have a young black man killing an older white woman, a beautiful woman, and so I knew it had to be justified. She had to attack him. Here, it has to be in self-defense. This is about escaping, not about vengeance or anger. So he's in another zone. I think I wanted the audience to sort of connect with this fact that almost his inner king is coming out. His inner blackness is coming out. His survival instincts and ability. I think that's sort of a satisfying notion to me, that if I was ever in a real physical pinch, I would have some kind of instinctive advantage, however ridiculous that may actually be. All right, so of course Jeremy is putting him in a virtual noose and saying 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, but he is Chris has set the trap. This altercation is happening actually in the exact same place Jeremy tried to put Chris in a headlock the first time. That's the dining room right there. And when Jeremy's talking about 3 moves ahead, well, Chris just did 3 moves ahead. He noticed that Jeremy was kicking the door shut, so he set him up to stab him because he couldn't stab him from his position. All right, so here's my favorite scene in the movie. She is in her complete regression. We're getting a sense of another little peek into this crazy character that we've been watching this whole movie, and yet we still haven't met. And she is crazy. She's eating her comfort food from when she was a kid, the white milk, the colored cereal, eating them separately, black straw. Everything's now in order. I think the Rose character was kind of a messy. She couldn't find anything in her keys. This character knows where everything is at all times. And of course, if you notice, she has the pictures of her conquests framed on the wall behind her, like a collector. All right, Chris is out. You saw the helmet from the Knights Templar that Jeremy had, and now we're in Run Rabbit Run mode. And boom, I wanted to just get this feeling like anything could happen in this scene. It's total chaos. It's total. It's completely sloppy, spontaneous. Anything can happen. Action. And my stunt coordinator Mark Vanislow, who does a lot of stunts for Liam Neeson in the Taken movies. He's amazing, and he really got into this whole idea of this brutal, primal survival horror. As I wanted to make sure we did not go with action style horror, which feels like kind of unrealistic. Here she is chasing him off the lawn with the rifle, and the grandma reveal. So this moment was basically, I was trying to do like when Spielberg does, unless the Velociraptors know how to open doors, he gives the audience that piece of information, and then he lets us experience the doorknob opening. And the audience, I just remember seeing Jurassic Park, the audience going like, oh. And so I wanted to let the audience sort of watch Grandma emerge from next to him. And I love Betty Gabriel's performance there. Chris is getting bloodier and bloodier. Now he's kind of in this weird zone trance where he's in survival mode, but he's in total shock. And remember, he's been, for a couple days, he's been in the sunken place. So he's in a crazy mental space. Just couldn't be more helpless feeling, having a limp. And then here comes Grandpa, who's got that Jesse Owens speed now. Yeah. So here, now we're dealing with Roman Armitage. We see his scar for the first time, and along, I wanted Chris to defeat, not with this final threat, not with his strength, but with his, he's a photographer, and his smarts and his wit, and he knows he has this weapon in his pocket. If the audience here knows what's coming, and they're frothing at the mouth for it. It's in an audience, it's a really palpable feeling, satisfying. Right there, we did a squib with some VFX enhancement. A lot of the blood from the nose is done with VFX as well. Here wanted to give a little misdirect, like, oh my God, is he going to shoot Chris? Nope, he took care of himself. The whether or not he's out of the sunken place, he's a atrocity. He's got most of Grandpa's brain in there, a little bit of his original brain, which is actually. Oh, and there's Rose. So yeah, the partial brain transplantation, by the way, is theoretically possible. It was achieved on mice in 1982. New York Times article, look it up. All right, so now, this is like my kind of like Othello moment. I wanted the romance of it to play, and obviously I realized that this was also, the type of thing that 10 years ago would have gotten this movie an NC-17 rating. A black man choking a white woman and the audience loving it. So this is where, he doesn't need to do this. He's succumbing to the rage, the revenge, and the monster. And I wanted to make this clear line with this character that, first of all, Rose simply out-crazies him right there. But her smile is sort of reflecting this perverted sense that she'll win if he loses his humanity. And Chris realizes he doesn't need to sacrifice his own self. And in fact, he can... Okay, so this moment is, I think, the most powerful moment in the movie because, obviously, the audience is meant to think they know what's happening. Anytime you can kind of do that, you let the audience do all the work of the social implication that, whereas in most horror movies, the cops showing up at the end is a good thing. In this movie, it means something different. And I wanted the audience to have to face that before the end of this movie. But we wanted to give them a hero. And I'm Rod coming back, again, the technique of showing the airport to give the audience just enough space to figure it out before I actually reveal Rod. I think that worked effectively. And
I told you not to go in there.
Really, I had about 20 different options of lines for him, and we shot them all. And this was the one that felt like, once again, Rod is saying what we all wish he would say, or we've all been saying, which is get out of the house, Chris.
Yes.
Motherfucking A.
We
handle shit.
That's what we do.
Now consider this situation. Fucking handled. I think that part was improvised, and I love that so much. Consider this situation fucking handled. Yeah, so Chris wins not only because he keeps his own soul, but he gets the full karmic justice of Rose dying alone in the street, just like his mother did. He is probably changed, but he survives. And Michael Abel's score, the Siki Lisa, that's actually Swahili. It means trust your ancestors, run away, just sort of warnings to Chris. So I wanted to bring this back again. Yeah, I'm so happy with this movie. Directing it was the dream of my life. It really was. And it was the hardest thing I ever had to do, I've ever gotten to do. And I cried a lot when I went home, just because of the pressure is so intense and people are counting on you. And, with a movie like this, it's if I got it wrong, it's like it could fuck with people's careers. It's like, you have Whitford and Keener signing on to play villains in a race movie. And if you don't take care of them and make sure that their characters are just so diabolically quirky enough that you gotta love them, then it does them a total disservice. So there's a lot of pressure, but every morning I got up and was like, took a deep breath and just pretended I was a captain of a pirate ship, where I was like on an adventure, had to be strong, had to be sure, had to know where we're going. And I was surrounded by just the most amazing crew, the most amazing talent, a lot of real geniuses that trusted the vision and trusted that it would pay off. And so that is that's the most humbling thing about making a movie. Let's see what else to say. There's a lot. I could probably do this whole thing again and talk about completely different things. There really is so much that went into it, and but that's for that's for you guys to talk about and theorize about. And I'm going the full director blabbermouth route. In the beginning I was thinking like, hey, should I try and leave it like Kubrick, so like for years to come people are trying to piece together the mysteries of fucking Get Out? Or should I just totally nerd out and tell you guys every detail I could possibly fit in, which is exactly what I would want in a director's commentary. So I did the nerd route. Yeah. Thank you for listening. Thank you. If you took all the time to listen to this, you're a true fan. And I'd love to hear what Get Out theories you think I may have missed. Thanks, guys. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right.